As I said, he's not an expert. He comes off as one. He likes to pontificate, articulate. He's very clever at the way he phrases things. I think he does his research very carefully of physical violence, physical threats. We're supposed to be in a battleground of ideas. But everything I'm seeing and read about him, he was a nice guy, the kind of guy that you'd sort of like to hang around with. I mean, I'd love to hang around with Charlie Kirk, not to have a debate, but just to hear. I mean, the guy, and that's the problem. I think the best path for America to take is to disentangle, consisted primarily of legacy Soviet equipment, modernized and upgraded. Now what we've seen is that the West has been bringing in, does he truly believe what he's saying is another very important question. It appears that, he had taken a certain ideological position. My God, that's the thing about Charlie. I don't give a rat's ass what Tucker Carlson or J.D. Vance or anybody wants to talk about Charlie. Because for me,
Charlie Kirk didn't factor in my life at all. Charlie Kirk is not a foreign policy expert. Charlie Kirk is not a military affairs expert. Charlie Kirk's not an expert in anything. Charlie Kirk had a shtick. His thing was going to college campuses and making fools out of American college students, and he did a very good job at this. And in this, you could say that Charlie Kirk had a very good point that the American education system had failed and was failing. You and I supported him. I don't agree with hardly anything he stands for, to be honest, because to me it's superficial. As I said, he's not an expert. He comes off as one. He likes to pontificate, articulate. He's very clever at the way he phrases things. I think he does his research very carefully. I watched him only because I found it fascinating that American college students were this stupid. But after a while, there's a pattern to what he does. It's very deceptive. He lures you in. The way he phrases things takes you in a direction. It's sort of like a fortune teller, how she can tell your fortune just by having a conversation with you. She picks up on this, that, and the other thing, and he would push buttons. Most of the time, the college kids were just too stupid to understand their buttons were being pushed. And they fell into every trap he laid. But he's not an expert. And it literally, you could take every argument he put out there and bring an expert opinion in and just rip it to shreds. So I'm not somebody who is in love with Charlie Kirk. I found much of what he said to be disturbing, very racist. I mean, I know today you're not allowed to say that Charlie Kirk was not yes, he was. Yes, he was. He was very racist, very xenophobic. He played to the worst tropes of American society. He pretends to be, this model Christian family man. And I'm not denigrating him as a family man. I believe he loved his wife. I believe he had 2 fantastic children. I think I would believe anything I heard that said Charlie Kirk was a fantastic father. I take everything, in that regard to say, yes, he's all that. But the concept that he had the model that every American should aspire to is just 100%, excuse my language. It's tragic what happened. Tragic. And it should never have happened. To me, this is more about free speech and what happens in a country that's deeply polarized. You see, I had my disagreements with Charlie Kirk, not that he really gave a damn. The man influenced millions of people. What does he care that Scott Ritter was like, nah, no. But, the way I would have preferred to deal with Charlie Kirk is either ignore him, which is easy to do, to be honest, just don't watch. And here's the thing. If you don't watch Charlie Kirk, you don't know about Charlie Kirk, and you realize how totally insignificant Charlie Kirk is to the big picture. 2, And I know I'm going to get pushed back on that one because people, J.D. Vance, I wouldn't have been vice president if it weren't for Charlie Kirk. Yes, you would have, J.D. Trust me, Charlie Kirk is not the heartthrob of America. The blood doesn't pulse through Charlie Kirk's, ideological veins. But the other thing is, if you disagree with him, engage. I mean, the man is a debater. So go debate him. And what you'll find is a lot of people thought they could hang with Charlie Kirk. The one thing I learned is that I wouldn't ask for a debate with Charlie Kirk unless it was on a subject that I knew inside and out. And B, that I did a whole bunch of preparation to understand the various traps that Charlie Kirk sets rhetorically to lure you in with certain push-button phrases to get you going down a, rhetorical path, and then he owned you. You'd have to be disruptive of that. And I don't mean yelling, shouting. I mean coming up with effective counters and stuff. But that's the way you deal with Charlie Kirk. You don't shoot him. I mean, my God, what has this country become? My God. That's the thing about Charlie. I don't give a rat's ass what Tucker Carlson or J.D. Vance or anybody wants to talk about Charlie, because for me, my daily life, Charlie Kirk factored zero in anything I do. There was not. I watched him because it was entertaining to watch him make fools out of American college students. I was aghast at the fact that people couldn't hang with Charlie Kirk. But other than that, if I didn't watch, Charlie Kirk didn't impact my life at all. And so this notion that somehow Charlie Kirk is this driving force of what American conservatism is and what America is today, I just find that to be absurd in the extreme. But what's happened here is we live in a day and age of copycat killers. And I'm very worried that the solution now to people you disagree with is to put a bullet in their head or in their neck or wherever you want to put that bullet. This is what bothers me. I mean, besides his death, again, I'm not here anybody who thinks that I'm trying to put down Charlie Kirk as a quality character. You're so wrong.
I think he honestly believed in what he was doing. He was very good at what he did. Very good at what he did. And just looking at him with his wife and his kids, I mean, this is a good man. Charlie Kirk's not a bad man. And the thing about guys that get into this game of, making your money off your mouth, does he truly believe what he's saying is another very important question. Because it did appear, again, I'm learning all this after the fact, because as I told you, I didn't follow him. I wasn't somebody who woke up every morning going, I wonder what Charlie Kirk's thinking today. But now as he's dominating the headlines, it appears that he had taken a certain ideological position on, say, Israel, and I think as he doubled down on that, as you have to do in this business. Remember, he's in the business of talking, of convincing people, of trying to win them over, and so he, once he commits to a party line, he has to double down on that party line.
And I think what happened is he started to realize that he had taken the wrong side on this argument, and that there was real world stuff out there. Because remember, most of what Charlie talked about isn't real world. I mean, it's on the periphery of the real world. It's emotional, touch button, the push button kind of things, but it's not real world. But when you get into Israel, you're talking about genocide. You're talking about a nation that bombs other nations. You're talking about massive deaths. You're talking about the loss of sovereignty of America. I mean, where we have sold ourselves literally to the Israeli devil. And I think Charlie started to realize that, oh my goodness, I'm on the wrong side of history here. And, so he's a man who, clearly had a brain, and he clearly had a conscience. And it's just a damn shame that he's dead. I mean, I would have so much preferred Charlie Kirk to be alive today, especially because I disagree with him, because whether or not I ever would have gotten a platform or whether I even wanted one, like I said, I didn't wake up every morning going, oh, Charlie Kirk. But, if for some reason, Mario Nafal at X called me up and said, Scott, I got Charlie Kirk who wants to debate you on this. Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Give me a week to prepare. I don't want to go in half-cocked with Charlie Kirk because I know he'll be prepared. I respected him that much. I saw how much knowledge he had, how well prepared he was. But that's the way I would have wanted to deal with Charlie Kirk, is in a debate, a straight-up debate, or just don't watch, because, like I said, I could get through a day without Charlie with not a problem. He just didn't factor into my life at all. Now, maybe he factored in other people's lives. He had millions of followers, but I'm Tucker and JD right now are in the game of politics. In politics, you got to ride the wave of public sentiment. And right now, there's just a whole bunch of sentiment out there. But I just want people to reflect on really where, before the assassin's bullet took his life, where did Charlie Kirk really factor into your life? I mean, most people knew of him, but I mean, when you woke up in the morning, was the first thing you thought about Charlie Kirk? When you got your morning coffee, it was the first thing you wanted to see, Charlie Kirk. During the day, Charlie Kirk. Before you went to bed, were you dreaming about Charlie Kirk? And I think the answer for the vast majority of people is no. No. So we've created this phenomenon right now. Phenomenon, I guess, would be singular. That's out of control, totally out of control. And it's sort of dangerous what's going on. Because now what to elevate him to the status now, I mean, other things are happening too. Now, if you're critical of Charlie Kirk, you're getting, immediately, disenfranchised, deplatformed. I'm not talking about the hate. I don't support anybody who out there justifies the shooting of Charlie Kirk. You sort of deserve what you get coming to you. Because free speech, yeah, you have a right to speak, but you also have a right to pay the price for your speech. Meaning that if you say something that is disturbing, don't be surprised when people come after you. Now, I'm not talking about criminal action and all this stuff, but if you're somebody who has a online presence that's contingent upon people watching you, don't be surprised if people stop watching you. I mean, who knows? Maybe you and I will get deplatformed for this conversation we're having right now. I don't know. I don't care. But there's people out there who this is their whole existence, and suddenly they're being deplatformed because they're saying things that are just, not good. You can't encourage assassination. You can't encourage physical violence, physical threats. We're supposed to be in a battleground of ideas. Who has the better idea? Who can articulate the better idea? And Charlie Kirk apparently is really good at what he did, and it's a damn shame that he can't keep doing it. It's really even a more damn shame that he's not around for his wife and his kids and his friends. From all accounts, he was a nice guy. I mean, I have yet to see somebody who said Charlie Kirk's a bad guy. He's a mean guy. Maybe he was. I don't know. But everything I'm seeing and reading about him, he was a nice guy, kind of guy that you'd sort of like to hang around with. I mean, I'd love to hang around with Charlie Kirk, not to have a debate, but just to hear. I mean, the guy was eloquent, and so it'd be sort of cool to hang around in a room and listen to Charlie Kirk speak. But then I'd go home and realize that everything he said has zero impact on my life. And that's the fact. I mean, theoretically, you're correct. The vice president should be about bringing people together, but that's not what this administration island Neither was the administration before them, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They were about blaming the radical right, and now the pendulum is swung the other way, and the people in power are going to blame the radical. We don't have presidents that reach across the aisle and try to heal wounds anymore. This is about sustaining a margin of popular support. The goal here isn't to have all Americans on board. The goal here is to have enough Americans on board that you win the next election. That's it. And so they have a base of, a very solid foundation. All they have to do is work on, the buffer. And that's what they're doing here. They're working on the buffer to chip away at the left. They're never going to bring across 60% of the radical left or the progressives or whatever you want to call the opposition. They're as deeply entrenched as MAGA is on this side. Just like, Biden isn't going to, Biden clone isn't going to bring over MAGA. So what you're looking for is that soft center, and how do you influence them? And what they're doing right now is playing upon the emotions of what appears to be a politically motivated assassination. And so they're going to blame the left without any regard of trying to find out what the truth island, because the bottom line is this investigation's still ongoing. I don't think we have a confession as to, why this happened. And there's just a lot of information out there. Normally, one would expect a politician to say, today we mourn Charlie and we pray for his wife and his children. But I'm going to withhold any further commentary pending the outcome of the investing. It's a murder. And, I'm not a defense attorney, but I would imagine that if the president and the vice president of the United States are out there saying things about the intent, etc., that turn out not to be true, but you've created the concept of polluting the jury pool of, the best thing for people to do is just shut up. Be honest, especially if you're posed in a position of power, just shut up. So, we're going to await the outcome of the investigation. There's a suspect in custody. I'm going to let law enforcement handle this one right now. For the moment, our thoughts and prayers are with Charlie's wife and his kids and his family. And, let's try and keep emotions down during this period of time. Let's reflect on the fact that, a voice has been silenced, and we have to make sure that no additional voices are silenced at this point in time. Freedom of speech is a foundational aspect of, American, this kind of political crap that could be put out there. When I say crap, it's sincere, but politicians are sort of famous for saying nothing. This is a really good time for politicians to say nothing, because that's an investigation into a murder, and you want to get it done right. You don't want to do anything that creates a technicality and things of that nature. I think there's the public face, and then there's reality. The bottom line is you're 100% correct, Netanyahu. First of all, in order to change Israeli behavior, you have to be able to deter Israeli behavior. That means that Israel needs to understand that if they do something, the price they pay for doing it far outweighs the advantages they get by doing it to begin with. So they could say, maybe we shouldn't do it. There's military force can be brought to bear. But, the United States isn't going to bomb Israel as a matter of deterrence, but there's political and economic force. And, the fact the United States didn't do anything only underscores that they were in cahoots with Israel, meaning we knew they were going to Donald Trump's lying through his teeth. There's just no way in hell the Israelis launched this without the United States knowing in advance. And worse, from my perspective, actively collaborating with the Israelis to deconflict airspace, etc., to make sure this attack went off without a hitch. Of course, we knew, so he's lying, the president. But if he wasn't lying and Israel did this, then if we don't do something Israel, like pull our ambassador, like terminate all financial aid, like let Israel know that no, you don't get to attack the friends and allies of the United States, that there will be a price, and the price will be very, very severe. Because that's the only way Israel learns. That's it. If they go, oh God, the price paying to bomb them is horrific, we can't afford to do this anymore. Next time Hamas shows up in Doha, we're not going to bomb them because we understand the United States will come down on us like a pile of bricks. But that didn't happen. So Israel's undeterred. And Israel will do. They'll continue. It's like a spoiled child. Child throws a temper tantrum and nothing happens or gets rewarded. It's about a 100% guarantee the child's going to throw a temper tantrum again. Here, Israel threw a temper tantrum, got rewarded with a State Department visit. Secretary of State Marco Rubio going to the Wailing Wall, praying little you, putting in pieces of paper and doing other stupidity to show the Israelis that, gosh, we love you, keep doing it. Whatever it is you're doing, it's okay. Israel didn't learn anything. But the other thing Israel learned is that the Arab world is useless, frankly speaking. The Iranians came in and said the right thing. We got to come together. There's got to be a price that Israel has to pay. Arab world didn't do it. I mean, Lebanon was horrible. No, we need peace with Israel. Lebanon that's been occupied, bombed, ongoing bombing. I mean, that Lebanese Aoun needs to go, be gone, finished. It's disgusting. But that's what Lebanon does. Everybody else, Qatar, why aren't you calling for military action? You were bombed. No, you're just going to throw a little temper tantrum and do nothing. Oh, we're going to not buy Spanish, or, I guess, we're not going to buy American stuff. And, what are you going to buy? You'll come back because you have no choice. The Middle East is totally subordinate. What we've seen here is that the Middle East has totally subordinate itself to the United States from a security standpoint. There is no alternative. So what we saw on this great conference is this. It's literally, it certifies the collective weakness, impotence of the Arab world. Because, let's just be frank here. There's a genocide taking place today in Gaza, a genocide against Arabs, and the Arab world isn't doing a damn thing about it. They don't care. Yemen's being bombed right now. The Arab world's doing nothing about it. They don't care. Damascus was bombed last night. They don't care. Lebanon is being bombed on a daily basis. They don't care. Tomorrow, Israel could bomb Riyadh. The Arab world won't care. The Arab world is useless. Arab leaders are useless because they have all sold their souls to the United States. And they're scared to death to think about life without America. So they're not willing to do the ultimate thing. 2.5 billion Arabs could take Israel off the face of the map tomorrow if they wanted to. March the Egyptian army. Get the Iranians to suppress Israel with their missiles. Have the Turks come in from the north. Israel's gone inside a week. Physically gone. Removed. Doesn't exist. It's that easy. But they will never do it because they can't stand up to the United States. They can't envision life without America. They've all become addicted to the American dollar, the American, economic connectivity. So the Arab world's dug its own grave. I mean, Israel will bomb you again, and there won't be a damn thing that's going to happen because you're incapable of making anything happen. Literally, that's what this Doha meeting was about. It was proof positive that the Arab leadership of the world today stands for nothing. Literally nothing. Qatar was attacked. Not a damn thing happened to Israel again. What price will Israel pay? None. They can say whatever they want. As long as the United States back them, there will be no price. It'll be paid. Does Turkey have what it takes to take on the United States, to actually get involved in a physical confrontation with Israel? Remember, Turkey wants to be a regional power, energy hub. In order to make that happen, they really need access to the giant gas fields off the coast of Israel. That's, the feedstock that will make this possible. You can't do that if you have fundamental breaking relations that say a war would cause. Gutter. What do they got? Gas, money. That's it. It's the great Gutter army going to come rolling across and take on Israel. No. Gutter can't even defend itself. Not the United States. None of these nations. I mean, Israel could just keep doing this, the Egypt, Saudi Arabian, Kuwaiti access. What's Egypt, Saudi Arabian, Kuwait going to do about that? Nothing. The Syrian, Iraqi, United Arab Emirates access. I'm just making it up right now. It doesn't matter. You can put any string you want. Israel can say whatever they want, and all the nations sit there impotent. Israel could bomb Ankara today and get away with it, because the Turks aren't going to do a damn thing because they can't. What can they do without a divorce with the United States? And they're not willing to do that. The only way you stand up to Israel is if you get enough nations willing to fundamentally break relations with the United States and then hold Israel accountable. Because now you're challenging the United States. See, this is the Achilles heel of the United States. We can isolate Arab nations one by one. Can't isolate them all. If today Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria said, we're done, it's finished, we are going to physically eradicate Israel in America. If you step in, then you step in all the way, pal, because you were going all the way. And, you'll lose everything. We're done. We're finished. America can't respond. Where are we going to get the troops? Pull them out of Europe. All 100, 0 of them. You remember it took about 750, 0 to beat Iraq in 1991. We were to go in with a little bit less than that after, wearing Iraq down through a decade of economic sanctions in 2003. But to go in and actually take on the advanced militaries of these nations collectively, we can't do that. We don't have the resources to do that. This is what this conference should have done. They should have collectively stood up and told America, you got a choice. Either join with us to punish Israel, to establish deterrence. It's all we're asking for. We're not asking for the eradication of Israel. We just want Israel to know that they can never, ever, ever do this again. So they must pay a very, very heavy price. You can either join us in doing that, or we're going to do it and we're kicking you out. We've decided we don't want you anymore. You're incompatible with our vision of security in the region. And what is the United States going to do? Nothing. We can't deal with them collectively, but as long as the Arabs continue to play this stupid game of, not wanting to confront the United States, we just pick them apart. We divide them. As soon as one side grumbles, we isolate them and say, you don't want to be alone. Everybody else is afraid. Oh, we don't want to do anything to make America unhappy. And that bit, it's the biggest display of collective weakness I've seen in a long time. This pathetic little conference they had, well, it could achieve a strategic goal and objective of disentangling ourselves from the Middle East, but it also creates a vacuum that could be filled by unknowns. And that's the problem. I think the best path for America to take is to disentangle and then play an active role in shaping what the Middle East looks like. So there's no surprises, so that we have an idea of what we're dealing with. But just to, on the spur of the moment pull out, you create a vacuum, and that kind of uncertainty always leads to problems.